Today we're tearing down a Honda liter class engine from over 20 years ago. The CBR1000, everyone probably knows it as the Fireblade. This displacement came out in 2004. The earliest Fireblade didn't have a 1000 cubic centimeters engine. Let's take a look at the clutch cover. This area has been ground/filed down. Meaning this thing's been repaired who knows how many times. Let's look at the clutch inner hub, small drum. Look at that discoloration from heat. So this clutch hasn't had an easy life either. Let's check out this clutch inner hub cover. This isn't just wear. It looks like it's been machined on a lathe. And then kept wearing down from there. Look, the middle is all pitted and uneven now. Now let's look at this mounting screw. Does this even still look like a screw? It also shows it's been taken apart who knows how many times. And at some point they probably didn't even have the right tool. They just chiseled it straight out from the edge. Let's look at these clutch steel plates, already turned black. You can just imagine how hard this bike was ridden. Now removing the clutch outer basket. This clutch is a compound, multi-plate type. The larger friction plates can still be used. As for the smaller ones, I'd still recommend replacing them. Let's keep chatting for a bit. The earliest Fireblade can actually be traced back to 1992. Back then it was a 900 cubic centimeters displacement, producing 112 horsepower. Let's talk about the gap between China and them at that time. Back in '92, companies like Lonson and others in China were basically just getting started and could only build small engines around 70 cubic centimeters. Look, this Fireblade was already at liter class displacement. And it's a 4-cylinder too. Not to mention back then. Let's just talk about now. How many domestic liter class 4-cylinder engines do we even have? Officially released, that is. Not counting that one from a couple years back, that doesn't count. That one was an MV Agusta engine. What we can actually see running on the road right now seems to be just CF Moto, and that's about it. Note, the premise here is a liter class 4-cylinder engine. Of course other brands might have one too, but I haven't seen it yet. This engine I'm tearing down is from 2006. Which makes it exactly 20 years old. Except for the part that's alloy. Forged alloy, there's nowhere on that either. This 2006 CBR1000RR puts out 172 horsepower. With a bore diameter of 75 millimeters. I've always suspected Qianjiang was cloning this engine. Because I once saw that Qianjiang had an engine called the 475. And it looked almost identical to this one. The 4 stands for 4-cylinder. The 75 is the bore diameter. And the look is nearly the same too. So I even suspect that domestic version's engine might actually be an old Honda engine underneath. Let's look at the debris in the oil pan. So this engine has scored bearings. Ah, there's still something in here. Let's look at this oil jet. It's the one that sprays oil up into the cylinder. Already broken. And there's also some sealant here. Yeah, feels like sealant. Could it be that the oil jet was broken? And they couldn't get a replacement, so they just glued it with sealant? Removing the oil filter housing. Sure enough, look, there's another oil jet here too. And it really was glued on with sealant. So does that mean the glue job failed? Or did it just get knocked loose again from the bearing scoring? Okay, let's split the case open and see what's really going on inside. Taking off the oil pump, this part barely needs checking. This thing basically doesn't fail. First, let's pull the number 4 connecting rod and check the wear condition. Looking at it this way, this rod is already shot. You can tell just from the surface. So this is where the scoring happened. Let me pry the bearing shell out to show you. Since there's no obvious marking on the housing, I really suspect this bearing shell is an aftermarket replacement. Well, it has been that many years, after all. Let's take a look at the piston. The piston is cast, not forged. And it's fully coated. But it's worn down quite a bit too. Though that doesn't really count as wear. Seems like starting around 2008 they switched to forged pistons. Look, on this side, the whole lower part of the piston has worn away in one spot. Now let's check the number 1 connecting rod. Looking at it this way, the rod is still okay. No scoring visible. Let's check its bearing shell. Sure enough, it's an aftermarket shell. It's an aluminum-based shell. So it seems whichever ones failed before got aftermarket replacements. Exactly how many times it's been rebuilt, who knows? As for the number 1 piston, it still looks usable, just that the coating is gone. This bearing shell definitely can't be used anymore. Moving on. Let's check the number 2 and number 3 connecting rods. Let's look at their bearing shells. These look like aftermarket replacements too. Could this one actually be an original factory part? Not a single original left? This bearing shell already shows wear. Now let's look at the number 3 piston. Compared to the number 4 piston, the wear condition is the same. Also worn along the bottom edge. You should be able to see it from this angle. Now let's look at the number 2 one. Same thing, the replaced aluminum-based shell is worn too. So really, not a single original shell remains. The number 2 piston looks to be in the same condition. The skirts are all worn at the bottom too. Good thing it still checks out fine. Now let's look at the crankshaft. It's already scored. The number 1, 2, and 3 journal diameters look okay. There are wear marks. It's just the number 4 journal here that's already scored. And while we're at it, let's check the crank bearings in the lower case. The crankshaft itself is still original, but on these 2 sides, 2 of the shells are worn through to the copper. Then these 3 here look okay. Oh right, it also has a balance shaft in the lower crankcase. Let's take it out and have a look. Yeah, this one's worn through to the copper too. The 3 in the middle look normal and can still be used a bit longer. As for the one at number 4, it's stuck to the oil filter housing. Let me take it out and check. It's worn through to the copper too. This oil jet is broken. This one here's fine. This one's fine too. And then this one is broken again, so that's 2 broken ones total. So the 2 shown earlier in the video, that accounts for all of them. This break here was probably caused by the bearing scoring. Did the scored rod change how the piston/rod traveled? And then this other one probably just wasn't glued on well and fell off. Now let's look at the cylinder bore. This cylinder isn't a cast iron sleeve. Honda had already moved to all aluminum cylinders by this point. Even though this is a pretty beat up bike, the owner still wants it fixed. Said as long as it can start up, it's good enough as a keepsake. Alright, I'll wrap this up and get the next episode out soon. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a like.